Hey guys, it's FiFriend91, and I'm bringing you my Walking Dead Season 2 review. Yes, I didn't actually start playing, I think, until all 5 episodes were out, but and I'm glad I waited, because I was able to just jump from episode to episode rather than having to wait months in between. Pretty good. So, I'm going to base this review off of story, gameplay, characters, basically the stuff that you'd expect from any Walking Dead review. That I will probably be doing a review on the episodes individually, because there are many things I want to say that I'm not going to say in this whole overall review, most likely, but I'll probably do that later, episode 1 review, episode 2, and so on and so on. So without further ado, here's my review on the Walking Dead Season 2 game. This game, story-wise, I gotta say, the story comes from the old game, but at the same time, it's like its own story. It's very weird, because at the beginning, you're kind of thrown away from the previous story by when Clementine gets separated from the rest of the group. So it's like you're forging your own new path in this game, but at the same time, Clementine can constantly talk about things that happened in the previous game. Not too much, it's not overly done, but isn't a nice addition. It's nice to go back, but it's still nice that they're kind of telling us you can go back sometimes, but this is a new game, these are new people, and these are new environments, new everything basically. But the game still feels much like the old game with the whole story-wise. Like, you make decisions, and a lot of them don't make much of a difference. Then, of course, they bring you up to the big old 2 decisions where it's like, pick one or the other, like in episode 1 where you have to pick between Nick and Pete. Now, that is good, but the problem is that I don't think that the game, story-wise, gave you enough decisions that really made much of a difference. It is true that in this one, I believe that the story actually changes significantly based on certain of your decisions. Like, certain characters can die in completely different episodes if you make certain decisions, which actually does change parts of the story at least. Such as Nick and Alvin can both die in episode 2, but they can also both live until, for Alvin it's the end of episode 3, and for Nick it's the beginning of episode 4, I believe. So yes, it's very good how they did that, how they make us seem like our decisions actually do affect the story somewhat. And they do in this game. They probably do it a little bit better than last game. But the whole thing is that the story itself doesn't feel stronger as last game's story. It feels a little bit like a copycat kind of. It's like you find a new group, you have to pick between one or a member or the other, and then you have to, and that doesn't even make much of a difference to the story, because once again, spoiler alert, well actually I didn't say it first time, but spoiler alert, if you pick Nick or Pete, it doesn't matter, Nick still lives. So once again, the story is kind of linear in that aspect. And it's not till episode 3 where your decisions actually come into like a whole point. Episode 3, the story really takes a turn that is very nice. It's actually got a Woodbury feel to it, for those of you familiar with the comics or the TV show. This whole being in Carver's camp, it really does have a Woodbury feel to it. Like how Carver makes all these decisions. It seems like people are happy here, but at the same time, they're more like prisoners than they are like a community. And episode 3 is really where the story comes into place, because you see your 400-day characters. You see all 5 of them if you met them, even though 4 of them, only Bonnie is the one that really makes a significant change to the story. The other ones, they just have their little cameos. But so the story itself isn't too strong, but it is nice. Now let's go on to gameplay. Gameplay-wise, this game, I would say, is more of a kind of choose storytelling than anything else. The first one was more of a point and click, but this game really doesn't have you doing that as much as you'd like. That was a big problem for me when I first got this, first episode most likely, because other than searching around the house, you didn't do much movement. So it was like, in the first episode of the first game, you walked around the forest for a bit, you walked around Clementine's house, you walked around the farm, you walked around the convenience store, you walked around the motor inn, and so you walked, so they had so much places where you were walking. This game in general does not have too much walking. It's more of like the characters moving for you, and you just have to make decisions. Like you get to pick what to say, but that's basically it. They do have some instances where you walk around, but it's not as much as I believe it should be. The old game, and it makes also the gameplay very short. I actually finished one of the episodes, I'm not sure which one it was, in 1 hour and 45 minutes, I believe, because the gameplay elements are very short. The only time the best time for me when searching around was during the museum in episode 4, and during the Civil War. The whole Parker's Run place was the best time where you just searched around. It felt like the old game again, kind of. You got to look for things, find some stuff, and that was half of the fun in the first game. But this aspect is really underused in this game, and that makes it it feels like it was really, I don't know what the developers were really thinking. It was like, let's make it more of a movie where you just pick decisions rather than have you walking around too much. Because in the first game, if you recall, it seemed like every chance they could get where you would control Lee, they would take it. In this game, there are a lot of missed opportunities there. Though there are certain moments where I feel like it would have been tedious, but at the same time, it made the game shorter and the overall gameplay experience less. That's just true. It just made it less. So that was a real downside, not being able to walk around and search and like find hidden stuff anymore. Another downside was that when you talk to people like this, they only seem to say something. In the old game, when you talk to people, something used to appear like at the bottom that had like 4 different options for you to ask them questions. And with that, you used to get closer to the characters in the game because you used to be able to talk to them. So character-wise, this game is actually, I don't feel it's that strong. Now, I'm not saying that the characters themselves are bad characters. They have good and bad characters. They have like Luke, Bonnie, all of them are actually decent characters. They have their own personalities, which you end up having to learn and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, the characters could have been done better, I believe. And you getting to know them, you're supposed to feel for these characters. You're supposed to be sad when they get lost or when they die. I found myself for a lot of the characters being pretty much apathetic. Not exactly. I mean, I guess you're a little sad when they die, but it's not like it was in the old game. It's not like when Carly got shot. It's not like when Doug got eaten by walkers or got shot. It's not like when certain people died. The old game, you felt for it when Duck was having his bite. You felt for it. These people, you don't get to know the characters in depth enough, most of them at least, to really feel for them when they die. And that's, I think, is a problem with the character development. But I will say the one aspect where this game excels is the endings. Last game, the ending was the same basically no matter what decision you made. Even though you could either shoot Lee or you could leave him be, you still ended up there. In this game, there are a total of actual 4 real different endings. There's 5 if you count the whole being able to accept the family or not. But you can end up with Clementine alone, you can end up with Clementine and Kenny, you can end up in Wellington, you can end up in House. So this game really excelled with the endings. I gotta give Telltale credit for that. The endings in this game were much better than last. Even though that some of the endings did not make emotionally feel as the ending in the original Walking Dead did, it still is, the amount of endings really makes you think, wow, I wonder how season 3 will be with all these endings. I will make a separate video probably on the endings and how I think that could all actually affect season 3. But like I said, that's where this game excels. So the final verdict, the game itself is good. Gameplay is fine, though they do take certain aspects out which were not good, though they do add some good aspects in there. But at the same time, this game did not feel as good as the first. This game kind of made me want to play the first game, and that was not in the good way. It wasn't in the good way of, oh, this game makes me want to play the old game because I got this nostalgic feeling. It was, oh, why am I playing this game? Why aren't I go back to the other game? After I beat this game, I kind of did not want to. I played it again just to get different results, but I kind of didn't exactly want to play it again because it wasn't like I said, episode 3 was really when episode 1, 2, not the best to me. Episode 3 and 4 were really when it started to pick up, and then it kind of just ended. And even though it had multiple endings, I didn't feel like there was enough content in between episode 3 and 4 to like justify this or make it seem like the first Walking Dead game. I wanted to kind of play the first Walking Dead game because I wanted to experience a much better Walking Dead experience than this game led me. So, in all honesty, this game it kind of was a letdown because you're expecting it to be a little bit better, or I was at least. It was sort of a letdown, but at the same time, it threw a lot of surprises at me that I just didn't see coming. So it wasn't bad. It was, not great, but it wasn't bad. Overall, probably give this game a 7.5. Still looking forward to the next season, and like I said, I'll be doing individual episode reviews most likely. So thank you for watching, and tell me how you thought about this game overall in the comments, please. All right, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and God bless.